Here's my pitch for The Greatest Showman 2. We open in the same style as the first movie, with Hugh Jackman performing, and then he suddenly pops out the claws and starts doing cartwheels, and it's revealed that Hugh Jackman, the Wolverine, is the main attraction. I mean, you'd have to admit it would sell a lot of tickets, right? Spoilers, I guess, for The Greatest Showman. I mean, I'm not going to talk about a ton of plot details, and there isn't a ton to spoil, but still, you've been warned. I will be talking about some of it, at the very least. So, yeah, the other day, The Greatest Showman dropped on Disney+, and I wanted to talk about it and make a video about it, and so here we are. I know this movie came out a few years ago, but again, I just wanted to talk about it. And also, I think the music's phenomenal, but, we'll get to that a little later. First of all, I have to say up front that I am a huge fan of Hugh Jackman. He is one of my favorite, if not my single favorite actor who is working today. And part of the reason I think for me is that he's just such a versatile actor. Like, what can't he do, right? I mean, we've seen him all as Wolverine, of course, and he's such a great version of that character. But, I mean, he can also sing really well, and his dramatic chops are great, his comedic chops are great. Like, seriously, what can't the guy do? He literally went on live tour performing music from this movie. It's incredible. So for those of you who don't know, The Greatest Showman is sort of a passion project for Hugh Jackman. Of course, we all know him from the X-Men movies. He's played Wolverine a lot, but he really wanted to do a musical. And so we had The Greatest Showman, which actually surprisingly became one of the most profitable movies of that year. It actually had some of the longest legs of any movie. The opening weekend was pretty dismal, but it just kept making money for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks until it made over $400 million. That's insane. And again, this is really a Hugh Jackman piece. It's really on him. His acting, his singing, his dancing, everything. And he sells it. He sells every second he's on screen. He plays real-life figure P.T. Barnum, and again, this movie really doesn't accurately portray P.T. Barnum. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but honestly, that's not a huge deal to me. Besides, this is just a fictional sort of musical representation of the events of the time. And even that, it's really not that accurate to the events of the time, but still, we got some great music, we got some great acting. What else is there to say? And the supporting cast is great as well. We have Zac Efron, Zendaya, Michelle Williams, Rebecca Ferguson. They're all absolutely wonderful in this movie as well. But I mean, come on, you didn't come to The Greatest Showman to see Inception the musical, right? Because let's be honest, The Greatest Showman is not going to win Best Picture or anything. Not by a long shot. Like, the story itself is incredibly simplistic, to the point where I think even children could basically follow the entire storyline and pretty much get the whole thing. Now, this really isn't a biopic like I mentioned before. P.T. Barnum was a real figure. This movie really isn't about P.T. Barnum or portraying him as accurately as possible, as it is with a movie like Steve Jobs, for example. Like, it's a film that's just meant to entertain and not really be a biopic and educate people. It's just sort of a shallow, feel-good sort of movie. Like, there's not a whole lot to it, right? There are barely any subplots. It's really just about Hugh Jackman and maybe some of his supporting characters as they go along through this story. And honestly, to me, that is totally fine. Because, again, I was not expected to have my mind absolutely blown and turned inside out when I watched The Greatest Showman. However, what this film is a musical. And I do believe that we have to look at musicals slightly different than we do at regular movies. Because for movie musicals, the music is really the soul, the heart and soul of the entire film. It's what makes up basically the most important parts. The songs, which are done by the same people who did the songs from La La Land, Paul and Pasek, are just breathtaking. The way the songs are written and integrated into the story, and the way they're able to tell a narrative and sort of portray these characters in such a way that are vulnerable and human and draw out the real human emotions out of people, I think that's a real feat. On top of that, the dance choreography is absolutely incredible as well, and you have some really great singers in here as well. Hugh Jackman, Zendaya, Lauren Allred. I mean, a couple of duds here and there as well, like a couple of people you can tell they're more actors and not really singers, but still. And since this is my review of The Greatest Showman, I figure, why not rank all the songs here really quickly. It won't take long, I promise. And by the way, if you haven't seen the film and you aren't that interested in seeing the film, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you at least listen to some of the music in the soundtrack, because I think the music is absolutely incredible. At the very least, listen for Hugh Jackman to hear how Wolverine sounds like when he sings, because he's incredible. And actually, to be quite honest with you guys, I actually got into the music before I saw the movie for the first time, because I saw the movie for the first time when it came out, but even before then, the music had been released, and I was just listening to the music on repeat over and over and over again. So anyways, mini rank it, here we go. Number 9 is Come Alive. I love the song, it has a great energy, but it feels a little more hollow, a little more surface level, In the movie, though, it's really fun. It feels more energetic when you see what's happening with the actors and the dancing and the choreography. So yeah, great song. Number 8, I Have Never Enough. Lauren Allred has pipes. She's amazing. She's such a phenomenal singer. And kudos to Rebecca Ferguson for the lip sync. The song is beautiful on its own, but it's in the context of the movie, it's not super great, and it's not that meaningful, honestly, once you see it in the context of the film. Number 7, I have This Is Me, the song that was nominated at the Oscars. I think Kiala Saddle does an amazing, brilliant job with the song. It's just personally not for me, but I still really, really like the music and the message behind it. Number 6 is Rewrite the Stars, and I'm telling you, if Zac Efron wasn't so completely obviously auto-tuned, I would have ranked it so much higher. Like, so much higher, because other than Zac Efron, who is admittedly like half the song, I love this music so much. And oh my goodness, Zendaya can sing. Number 5 is The Greatest Show. It's a great opening, it's a great closer, and even though it's in the middle of this list, there's really nothing average about it. Seriously, these songs are on a completely another level. Number 4 is The Other Side, and I have to say, if you haven't seen this in the movie, and you've only heard the music, then seeing the choreography mixed with the song makes it 10 times better. The energy is just palpable. Number 3 is From Now On, which is Hugh Jackman's show-off piece, I guess. He really gets to go off. And seriously, if you want to see just Hugh Jackman singing, pure singing, listen to this song. Wow. Number 2 is A Million Dreams, a really, really soulful, sweet, and hopeful duet. The kids singing at the beginning, they're not great, but Hugh Jackman and Michelle Williams pick it up immediately, and their chemistry, musically even, is amazing. And surprisingly, number 1 is Tightrope. I know this isn't really the best song, it's not going to be everyone's favorite song, or even the best written song or anything, but it just speaks to me because of how emotional, and the emotional context, and the raw, pure feelings that are coming out and being wrung out of this song, just based on what's going on in the movie. Now again, you may not think it was worth it to talk about all of these songs individually, but I am just such a huge fan of movie music, and I maintain, I've said this before, that movie music makes or breaks the film. I'm telling you, and I've said this before, I will say it again, the portal scene in Endgame would be nothing if it weren't for Alan Silvestri's score. Music just makes the movie. Now I understand, this movie has a 56% on Rotten Tomatoes. Half the critics don't like this movie, half the critics do. And I would wager that the ones that don't are probably those who think this movie, as a film, isn't so great. Because I think most of them are just trying to analyze this film purely based on film metrics, right? Like cinematography, visuals, all that sort of stuff. And again, in that regard, the script isn't that great or original. It's sort of cliche. And the cinematography, it's not super amazing, although there are some really, really great dance choreography scenes where the camera's just moving all around. I think those are really great. But again, if you want to analyze this as a film, it doesn't really hold up that well. But again, I think the mistake that a lot of people make with this movie is just judging it as a film. And I have to stress that this isn't a film, it's a movie musical. And besides, on a personal level, I'm just a sucker for these feel-good movies. The message is just so uplifting, and this is a movie where you always are feeling like you're soaring, you know? The music contributes so much to that, it really does. And you guys think I was kidding about the cold open, but no, really, I want a Greatest Showman too, I really do. Like again, no film is without its faults, right? I think there are plenty of negatives to nitpick here. For example, the story, it's very quick, the pacing is very off, it's a really short movie, but honestly it felt like it could be longer, could have had more development for the characters and all that sort of stuff. I think the relationship between Jenny Lind and P.T. Barnum was very forced. It didn't feel natural at all or organic. Like Hugh Jackman and Rebecca Ferguson had very little chemistry, and even if they did, they had just so little time to build that up. And again, just there are little things here and there, right? Like Zac Efron's character, they try to develop his character in the fact that he's a really rich, kind of high-end part of society, and he, is trying to seek the approval of his parents, but he also wants to go out with Zendaya's character. But again, it's just, it's sort of lost in the whole musical spectacle of the whole thing. But like I said before, this movie is not going to blow your mind. I'm really here for the music. And I want to hear how the music speaks to me as a person. How the music is wringing those emotions out of me. And seeing Hugh Jackman just act and sing and dance and just show all of the wide ranges of emotions that he can. There's a scene where he's watching Jenny Lind perform and he doesn't say a single word. He's not even singing. But the way that his face moves, the expressions that he makes, he is just putting on a masterclass of acting right there. In the end, I think The Greatest Showman as a film is fine. It will entertain kids and maybe some older audiences. But as a musical, it rocks. It really does. The music is what carries this movie, as does Hugh Jackman's pure charisma and bravado. The superb supporting cast mostly do a great job, and again, the music. So good. If you have Disney Plus and you like music in any way, shape, or form, and you like film, please watch this movie if only for the music. Or at the very least, do yourself a favor and listen to the musical soundtrack. You will not regret it. And again, if you have Disney Plus anyways, this movie is only an hour and 45 minutes. I don't think you'll regret it at all. I would give The Greatest Showman something like a 5 or 6 out of 10 as a movie, and maybe a C. But as a musical movie, I'm going to give The Greatest Showman a B and an 8.2 out of 10. I know that on the scale of blockbuster, quote-unquote blockbusters, that this really isn't up there. And I don't even know if you could consider this a blockbuster, but still, this is a film that a lot of people saw, but also a lot of people didn't. So, have you guys seen The Greatest Showman? And if so, what did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't subscribed already, then make sure to subscribe and give this video a like to support the channel. Again, thank you guys so much for the support recently. It's meant so much to me, and I can't wait to see what the channel holds in the future. If you want to check out some more videos, then check out the videos on the screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.